Much contemporary educational practice focuses on the use of data to improve school performance. This is also an example of deterministic thinking, but of an environmental kind. School experiences form part of the non-shared environment, which is not heritable. 5 years ago, the idea of flight paths were used to track student performance. The idea was that each student was on an individual trajectory to a particular destination and needed to progress at a particular rate in order to reach the destination by year 11. Flight paths were based on the assumption that a student makes almost linear progress through the national curriculum years in their education at Key Stage 3. The danger of this approach is that it assumes that there is an ideal rate of progress. As a result, schools tended to focus resources on those below the modal rate of progress. Those who were at a satisfactory rate were more or less left alone. Pupils above average were allowed to coast, not being stretched to the fullest extent. The idea of flight paths has been replaced by Progress 8, which is thought to be a more inclusive measure. Progress 8 is the national measure used for school improvement. The performance of each child in the school is compared with the national performance for children within that particular ability group. This is based on Key Stage 2 SAT scores. SATs are examinations in English and mathematics that children complete in their final year of primary school education. A separate measure, Attainment 8, is the measure of what students actually achieved in their GCSE scores, compared with those of their peer group. Progress 8 scores are calculated for individuals. It's a measure of how well students do against a standardised measure for students who achieve a similar score at GCSE. They are given to the school as formative information for school improvement. Schools can also calculate P8 scores for current pupils to see if they are on target. However, it's a valid question to ask whether the use of test data obtained at the age of 11 is used to predict outcomes years later is an example of social determinism. GCSE scores were used as the basis of predicting A-level grades in last summer's examinations as a result of the limitations of the COVID restrictions. The algorithm that is used is quite sophisticated and is shown on the screen. Where available, GCSE scores were used as the basis of making the predicted grades. Otherwise, historical evidence about school performance in previous years was used. This explains the uneven outcomes in the application of the model. This led to some results which were unexpected and undesirable. Some students that were previously scoring A grades in their subjects were downgraded by 2 or even 3 grades. Understandably, this led to concern and fear amongst students and public protests.